So here it is, my new drift car that I picked up. Didn't really make like a video yet. I've already been working on fixing a bunch of stuff, but this was a fairly well-known car in North Florida. The driver who had it before drove a lot of events. Car's actually pretty cool, but it needed a lot of little TLC type things, and I'm still working on stuff. So as far as a car check, this is what I've got going on so far. This car is a 2001 BMW E46 M3, and yeah, that's one of the problems. 2001 BMW E46 M3 still has the S54 B32 M3 engine in it. I believe it's the original engine that came in the car, like it hasn't been swapped. But to be honest, I don't really know. There's not a lot of documentation with this thing, not a lot of real information. So it has big duck club over fenders, has a 6-point roll cage that I did not install, has some Bride replica seats, Lomax style. Carpet is out of a 2003 convertible that I found in the junkyard that had reasonably good carpet. Same with the vents and the radio and climate control. I put this Momo steering wheel on here just because, well, I had it and I like it better than the wheel that came in the car. Doesn't have any door panels. Well, it technically does have door panels, but the factory panels do not fit with the roll bar or the door bars here. It pretty much just doesn't have enough room. So I've got a set of Hard Motorsports injection molded plastic door panels to put on there. I'm going to be doing that here in a bit. And then, you know, out back, it's pretty sparse. Has a Part Shop Max rear strut tower bar that connects down to the subframe. Now, the car came with a 326 power wing on the back, which actually, I have it right over here. I don't really like it on the car. I don't think it looks that good. Some would argue otherwise, but just, you know, personal preference. So I just took that off. I actually prefer running it without the wing. I might get like a ducktail or something to put on there. Haven't really decided yet. And then the rear bumper, it has a HM Sports rear bumper and side skirts that came with it, but I don't really like those either, so I'm probably going to put those up for sale. The car did not have a front bumper at all, which I do like the HM Sports front bumper, but when I priced out what it was going to cost to get one here in the United States because of overseas shipping from the UK, it was going to be way too much money. So, previous owner put these arrow catch locks on there. And then for the engine, I'm fairly certain it's a very stock engine, other than it has some Megan headers on it. And then it has a 3.5-inch Bimmer World race exhaust, which is insanely loud. Yeah, it's one of the things I'm planning on trying to address. And then it has obviously this Part Shop Max front strut tower bar, Feel 441 plus coilovers with the camber plates maxed as positive as they will go. I don't know if you can tell from here. It's still sitting at about 5 degrees of camber, negative camber anyways. It has an SLR, I think a version 5 kit on the front of it. But, well, the arms are version 5, but one of the things when I bought it, it had a broken steering plate. So I went ahead and purchased the new, most up-to-date steering plates, which are much thicker, so they have more roll center correction. And they're a bit stronger and all that jazz. And then also I bought the new SLR 32 millimeter sway bar that actually fits E46s, because there's a problem with the E46 due to the sway bar placement being too far forward, and from the fact that these never ran control arm mounted sway bars. They only ran coilover mounted sway bars. So because of that, they didn't line up when you tried to run control arm mounted sway bar lengths. So with this bar works with that. So I know a lot of guys that are not running front bars that do that don't run sway bars up front because of the fact that there's just no bar that really lines up with the sway bar tabs. And with the strut mounted sway bar lengths, a lot of times they cause bind at big lock, and then you don't get all your steering lock out of the car. And then, so I went down and I grabbed that bar, put it on. Drives way better with the front bar. So this car pretty much didn't have a front bar the entire time that the previous owner had the SLR kit on the front. So he was definitely leaving a lot on the table. And then these taillights, they had some clear taillights that I found out later after I'd sold them were worth a lot of money, like $500-600. I just didn't like them, so I sold them to a fellow online for 150 bucks. Found out later they were worth like 600, and well, anyway, he got a good deal. I screwed myself. And then let's see. So back here, it's got the Feel True style 441s in the back, inverted PMC lower arms. I don't know if you can tell because behind the axle is the Part Shop Max rear upper control arms, and then it has the Part Shop Max dual caliper bracket and Z32 calipers, which I don't really like. I could go on a rant about those for a half hour, but I'm not going to do it. So 3.5-inch exhaust, everything's M3, and it's pretty rad. I just drove this thing at its first event last weekend, and I gotta tell you, it rides out. It does a pretty damn good job. I put a video up just earlier today that shows in-car footage from that event, and yeah, it's pretty rad. This is the fastest drift car I've ever owned, as far as like straight line power, straight line speed, power to spin the tires, all that. All my cars typically have been less than 250 horsepower. This one, I'd like to take it to the dyno sometime this week and see what it actually puts down, but I'm very curious as to see what it does at the wheels, because feels like it makes a lot more than the stock 285 wheel that these things are supposed to make. I mean, it kept 255 wide Ironmans in the back, lit in third gear all the way around PBIR at half throttle. Like, I wasn't even really going full throttle pretty much the whole day. And yeah, it annihilated those tires in like 5 laps. And yeah, these 265 wide Velinos on the back, well, these don't fare a whole lot better. I mean, they pretty much destroy these extremely easily. Yeah, so one of the big deals when I first got this car was the trailing arm brackets right here. These buckets that you see for the trailing arm pickup point, that was flipped upside down, so the trailing arm pivot point was way down, and because of that, the car had very little forward bite, very little side bite, and pretty much just was trying to squat the rear end down into the floor every single time you got on power. It was very disconcerting. So I just kind of want to say that that's not a good idea. Don't do that. Don't flip those upside down unless you're building like a big off-road vehicle or a super lifted E46 of some kind. Do not do that. It does not make the car drive better. Makes it drive pretty bad. Like, it felt like the pivot point was basically here in the front of the car, which I don't like that. I'd rather have the pivot point for where the car rotates more towards around the driver. That felt just very awkward with it all the way up towards the front because there was just no rear grip. Now it has rear grip and it's pretty quick in drift, but boy, I gotta figure out the toe settings in the back. I gotta figure out camber and actually put some time into getting everything squared away, because this thing is screaming for more grip. Because if I'm driving around a third gear road course at half to 3/4 throttle with 255s on the back, she could really stand to getting some more grip. But I'm really excited to be driving this thing some more. My current project today is I'm going to be putting some sound deadening inside the doors so that I can go ahead and put those hard motorsport panels on, and then I'll probably be putting some sound deadening here in the back. It's pretty much all ready to go. I just got to clean it, start laying it down, because I've been driving this car daily for about 2 weeks now because of the fact that my Alpha has been in the shop because I had a fender bender. Insurance is taking care of it, and you know, it's going to come back, and it's probably going to look better than it did before it went to the shop. So, but you know, stuff happens. But I'm very happy with this thing, especially for what I bought it for. I'm just sinking more and more money into it right now, trying to get it to where I want. But it should be really fun once it's done, and should be a good cruise to the track, annihilate some tires, and then drive home. I'm hoping it's going to be reliable, but you know, you can never really tell with these S54s. I mean, this thing, I don't know how many miles are on it because the odometer stopped spinning at 177K, and I have no idea when that was. So this thing might have over 200,000 miles on it. Who knows? But we'll find out eventually, because if it's going to blow up, I'm definitely going to blow it up. So I hope that doesn't happen. But you never know, man. This thing was treated how an S chassis would have been treated in 2005. So wish me luck.